When people think of the Beatles, they largely think of Paul McCartney and John Lennon. Because that pair delivered most of the band's top-selling hits, they naturally became the central songwriting force within the group. Their chemistry, built on both competition and collaboration, shaped the identity of the band through much of the 1960s. But that being said, they weren't the only successful songwriters in the Beatles. George Harrison also delivered his fair share of hits when given the opportunity by his fellow bandmates, though those opportunities were often limited compared to the dominant Lennon-McCartney partnership. Harrison's evolution as a songwriter is one of the most compelling subplots in the Beatles' history. Starting as the quiet Beatle, he gradually emerged with a distinct voice, one that leaned into introspection, spirituality, and emotional complexity. Yet, despite his growth, he often found himself sidelined in a band where two prolific writers already occupied most of the creative space. There was one song in particular that highlighted this imbalance, a track rejected not once, not twice, but 3 times by his fellow Beatles, only to later become one of his defining solo works. That song was Isn't It a Pity?
Isn't it a pity?
One factor in the Beatles' eventual breakup was the growing frustration Harrison felt as a songwriter. While Paul McCartney and Lennon continued to dominate recording sessions, Harrison's contributions were sometimes overlooked or deprioritized. According to various accounts, the studio dynamic could feel crowded, with ideas competing for attention and time. Harrison managed to push through a few compositions onto albums, but many others were left behind. Among those overlooked works was Isn't It a Pity, a song that would later resonate deeply with audiences around the world. Isn't it a pity? Isn't it a shame? How we break each other's hearts and cause each other pain? Harrison sings in the track, delivering a message that is both simple and profound. The lyrics reflect on human relationships, emotional disconnect, and the quiet damage people inflict on one another. While some listeners interpret the song as a reflection of the internal tensions within the Beatles, its meaning extends far beyond that context. It speaks to universal human behavior, the tendency to take others for granted and to overlook empathy in moments where it matters most. Harrison himself offered insight into the song's meaning, framing it not as an accusation, but as a realization. He once explained that the song came from recognizing his own role in interpersonal conflicts. Rather than placing blame solely on others, he acknowledged the shared responsibility in emotional breakdowns. This perspective gave the song a philosophical depth, aligning with the spiritual themes that would later define much of his solo work. It wasn't just a lament, it was an observation about society, about human nature, and about the need for greater awareness in how people treat one another. Despite its emotional weight and melodic strength, Isn't It a Pity failed to secure a place on any Beatles record. Harrison first introduced the song during the sessions for Revolver, a period when the band was pushing creative boundaries and experimenting with new sounds. Even in that innovative environment, the song didn't make the cut. It resurfaced again in later sessions, only to be passed over each time. The exact reasons remain unclear. Perhaps it was a matter of timing, perhaps competition with other material, or perhaps simply the internal dynamics of the band. What is clear, however, is that the song found its rightful home after the Beatles disbanded. Harrison included it on his landmark 1970 solo album, All Things Must Pass. The album itself was a statement, both a creative release and a declaration of independence. Freed from the constraints of the band, Harrison was able to showcase the full range of his songwriting, and Isn't It a Pity stood out as one of its emotional centerpieces. The recording of the song also carried symbolic weight. Harrison enlisted Ringo Starr to play on the track, marking a reunion of two members often considered the most overlooked within the band. Their collaboration underscored a quiet truth, that talent within the Beatles extended far beyond the Lennon-McCartney axis. Together, they helped bring the song to life in a way that felt both expansive and deeply personal. Listening to Isn't It a Pity today, it's hard not to wonder how such a powerful composition was passed over multiple times. Its sweeping arrangement, heartfelt lyrics, and universal message make it one of Harrison's most enduring works. Yet, in a way, its rejection may have been a blessing in disguise. Had it been included on a Beatles album, it might not have carried the same significance as part of Harrison's solo breakthrough. In the end, the story of Isn't It a Pity is more than just a tale of a rejected song. It's a reflection of artistic persistence, of creative identity, and of the complicated dynamics within one of the greatest bands in music history. Harrison's journey from overlooked contributor to acclaimed solo artist is encapsulated in this track, a song that, against the odds, found its moment and left a lasting mark.